All right. All right, it is 7 o'clock, so we will call to order this regular school board meeting of the Palmyra-Eagle Area School District. Tracy, may we have a roll call, please?
Carrie Ellis. Here. Tara Bullman.
Here.
Scott Hoff.
Here.
Corey Jones.
Here.
Matt Mecca. Here. Amy Wild. Here. Justin Thomas.
With 6 members in attendance, we have a quorum this evening. The mission statement of the Palmyra-Eagle Area School District is to ensure that students excel with intellect and virtue, inspired by innovative educators who engage and challenge each individual. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Any additions, subtractions, or changes to the agenda this evening? Is the group okay looking at action item C, sub 1 through 9? Are we good to handle that as a single entity?
Yes.
Yes, nods all the way around? Okay, so we'll do that. Same to D and E, or do you want to, is there anything to look at separately with those two?
No, that's fine.
You're good? Okay, all right, we'll handle those as single motions then. Okay. All those in favor of the agenda as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Public comment, Mr. Wurzbach. You want to just stay there?
Everybody hear me?
You
Yep.
bet.
I'm sorry I missed last meeting. The school was closed. I thought there wouldn't be a meeting, and by the time I found out there was one, my car wasn't dug out anyway.
You would have been shoveling. It was a quick one. It was all right. Thank you anyway.
I've been wondering.
So, yes, there are some.
They're not just leaving.
No.
There are people coming in.
Yes, sir.
Enrolling their kids.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's it. That's all I want to know.
Okay, well, that solves that then. Thank you.
Do we have a rough estimate? 40, about 40?
I'm sorry?
About 40 kids.
How many?
40.
40.
40. Yep.
Good. All right. Glad to hear that.
All right, board monitoring, youth apprenticeship program, Cindy Sandberg. Or her stand-in tonight. Yeah. Oh, do with the further recording.
want to stay? We'll go this way there a little bit? Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm not Cindy Sandberg. Cindy Sandberg is at a youth apprenticeship meeting in Madison for a conference for the next 2 days, so I've got elected to take her place tonight. Usually I'm the tag along and help Cindy out. My name is Rich Dykstra. I'm the business coordinator for youth apprenticeship in Jefferson County. And so I've been to quite a few of these meetings and everything else. And at this time, I'd like to thank the Palmyra-Eagle School Board, the administration staff of Palmyra-Eagle, and to Michaela Schmidt, who's not here tonight. She had a prior engagement that she could not get out of at this time. As a first-year teacher, she has done a wonderful job in this district, getting this program back up and working again. We would hope that next year that Palmyra-Eagle will have some students in the CNA courses, I mean, on the job sites, some more ag students in the program, some tech students in the program, some business ed people in the programs and so on. This year, the Jefferson County Consortium has met and exceeded their expectations. We have expected 155 students in the program. At this time, we have 179 students in the program. And by the end of March, we expect anywhere between 185 and 195 students in the program. That far exceeds the numbers we've had in the past 3 years by a large amount. So I would like to applaud all the school districts that are in it. And there's not just Palmyra-Eagle and everybody else. There's Lakeside Lutheran, which is the only private school in youth apprenticeship, Lake Mills, Jefferson, Fort Atkinson, Waterloo, Johnson's Creek, and Cambridge are the other school districts in the consortium. So this is one of 5 meetings that we have had already. This is the 5th one tonight. We have about 4 more to go through, Michaela, and so on down the line. So tonight what I'm going to do is introduce the students that are in it. There's one student that is here with her mentor and everything, and the other students must be working tonight at another job. So just to let you know that it's something that came up. Okay, so the students that are not here are Juan Kowalski, is that his name? Did I say it right? Kowalski or something like that? Okay. Bryce Oliver, and Juan works at J.C. Cow Farm, and Bryce works at Paulson's Farms here in Palmyra. So I'm not sure about where the other student does work. I mean, I know he works someplace around the area, but I'm not for sure where. We do have one student here with her mentor. Will you please come forward and I'll introduce you. Okay, the student that is here is Haley Richardson, and she's working at Payne Farms here in Palmyra, right? Sullivan, okay. And so I'm not, like I said, I am not familiar with the area, so I'm just learning too. So here you are, Haley, thank you very much. And we do have a little award for you. This is for you for being in the program. And Tammy Payne is here representing Payne Farms. And thank you very much for taking these students on. And there's a little present for you.
Thank you.
Okay. We do thank these employers and the students for doing this because it does represent, and there is such a need for youth apprenticeship today as our aging population gets older and retiring. And especially in the area of agriculture. We need more and more students to get into this area, not just in the farming areas, but the agribusiness areas and everything else that's out there in the ag areas and the manufacturing areas and the business areas and so on, and especially in the CNAs with the aging population going into nursing homes and so on. And we're hoping next year with Michaela staying around and everything that the program will take off, because Michaela was new to this area, new to the program. It took her a while to get caught on to what goes on in this field of, youth apprenticeship. So I do thank you guys very much for being patient with us and everything else. Thank you very much. Oh, yes. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
All right, on to Beth Jones. Thank you for rescheduling and coming back to see us this time.
Thank you for letting me reschedule.
Oh, no problems.
So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Beth Jones. I'm the Director of Special Education and Pupil Services here at Palmyra-Eagle. And I'm going to just talk about the PCSA that we've got coming up for the 1920 school year. You'll hear it called a variety of different things from the Department of Public Instruction. So overall, what is the PCSA? It's referred to as a variety of different things. The RDA, PCSA, self-assessment, it kind of varies depending upon who you're talking to. But what it is it essentially is coming from the federal office of special education in ensuring that we are having effective programs that are ensuring that compliance from the special education piece of it, as well as improving student outcomes through that compliance. So DPI has to then monitor what Palmyra-Eagle is doing under that state and federal regulations. So in a part of monitoring that, they've created this process in how they're monitoring that piece of it. So every 5 years, a district goes through this to make sure that we're meeting compliance with all of the special education requirements and paperwork and those kinds of items. So we are starting that process in spring for the 1920 school year. So this whole process has 4 main steps, and I'm going to talk about what each of those steps mean, but this is just a quick visual to show that it's essentially a prepare step, an assess step, correct, and then close that process out. So DPI did not try to code anything as far as when they named these steps. So prepare is preparing. It's getting ready for the self-assessment itself. So in spring, we'll receive a notification from DPI that indicates that we will be starting this process for the 1920 school year. And then from that point on, it kind of starts the ball rolling. We will then establish a review committee. Our review committee will consist of 11 individuals, which will be our special education teachers, our school psychologist, and myself. And then we will create our own district timeline within the parameters that DPI gives us. So as a part of this process, there's certain deadlines and requirements we have to meet, and we'll set more specific small short-term goals to make sure that we're meeting those large-term deadlines. Once we have that set, then we will go through a staff training to ensure that we are up to date on what DPI is looking for and all of the different components of this entire process. Once we have that training completed, then we will have access to the online portal. And that portal will allow us to report out our data that we find, communicate with DPI where we are in that process, and then allow DPI to evaluate and check everything off at the end. So step 2 is assessing, and that is looking at our data. What do we have? And part of that is the sampling. So what DPI will do is they will choose a random sample of items from our special education department. So that includes evaluations, IEPs, IEP implementation, as well as discipline for special education students. And what they do is they will give a weight to those items to make sure that each one of those areas is equally represented in that sampling that they're going to pull. And then that is what we are specifically looking at. So then once we have that sample from DPI, we will be going through the evaluation compliance piece of it. And this particular checklist, it has the compliance statement, so specifically like what are we looking for this specific piece of documentation. And then the directions and standards are included with that. So specifically where can you find that in the paperwork? What kinds of items is DPI looking for? What are the standards that DPI has set to say if that is in compliance or not? If we find that it's in compliance, we're good to move on. If we find that it's not in compliance, they have a correction column here. So they walk you through what do you need to do to correct it, how does it need to be corrected. And this particular document is 48 pages long for every single document that they pull as a part of the sampling. So it's very, very detailed. It's very insightful, actually, every time that I do it. So, because that compliance stuff is always changing. Reviewing then the results. So once we take all of those checklists and we put that into the portal, we can then take a look at what our results are, where we're meeting compliance, what are some areas that we need to improve on, and make those adjustments. The committee then will reconvene. We will analyze that information, create a plan of action moving forward for each and every step that we would happen not to be in compliance for, so that moving forward we are in compliance every single time we complete those documents. Those particular final results are going to be due to DPI by November 15th. So we have from the start of school to November 15th to do all of that process. So then step 3 is correcting. So now if we find some errors, now we have to actually fix those errors, which makes sense. So we will start with the student level corrections, which is the document here just helps us to walk through what are those student level corrections. A lot of those might mean calling an IEP meeting or meeting as an evaluation team again and just making sure that everybody's on the same page and that the paperwork is properly updated and documented. Then we'll have an assurance section, and that will be done by January 15th. We have to verify that all corrections that were found through this process have been made. Once we go into the portal and we verify that all of those corrections have been made, then the DPI verification process begins, and they actually go through and verify what we've verified. After that, then the current compliance will kick into action. So now that we've made those corrections, we have action steps moving forward to make sure that we're maintaining the compliance that we need. Now let's actually put it into action moving forward. And then we will develop lists from January 15th to April 15th of any meetings and paper documentation that we have in the special education department for students. So that means any IEP meetings that are held, evaluations that are held, if a parent calls a review revise meeting, all of those items will be documented and listed for DPI. What then they will do is move into step 4, and they will then verify again by that random sample from all of those meetings from that January 15th to April 15th date. They will go back through and verify that our action plan that we have put into place has been withheld through all of that documentation, proving that we've made the proper changes to maintain compliance moving forward. Once all of that is done, then we'll get a final verification of completion, indicating from DPI that we've identified our corrections, we've made our corrections, we've continued to maintain compliance after those corrections, and we're good to go forward, continuing with the 100% compliance at that point. We will hear by November of 2020 then, that final verification. So it is quite the process from that standpoint. So just a quick overview, just to kind of compile it all into one piece. So 2019, this particular year, we will get a notification in spring and start that process, create the team, start the trainings. And then in September and October, we will actually go through this document for all of the sample items that they have pulled. In November and December, we'll make all of the proper corrections, create the proper action plans for moving forward. By January 15th, we'll submit that final assurance. Then January 15th to that April 15th date, we'll give DPI a list of everything that we've completed during that time. By April 30th, they will start that final fourth step about closing that process out, verifying we've made the corrections. Moving forward, we've continued those corrections and made the proper adjustments that we needed to. And then by November 1st of 2020, we'll get our final verification from DPI that we've completed that process. So, any questions on the PCSA? I have. This will actually be my third time going through this particular process. I actually, as crazy as this might sound, enjoy the process because DPI is constantly updating what they're requiring to meet the new laws that are coming out. And it's very beneficial and very informational to actually go through and read what's all in here. I mean, we get those updates throughout and that kind of stuff, but to really look at all of the nitty-gritty is very informational. I actually, in a crazy way, enjoy the process. So. Yes. So part of getting a committee of people together is so that one person isn't reviewing them all. So we will have, because of our student size, we'll have approximately a sample size of 25 different documents. So each one of those 25 different documents will have to go through this 48-page document to verify the compliance of each of the parts. And it's everything from, did you fill in this paragraph, did you check the right box? And so it's very detailed in what it goes through, but part of having the special education teachers, as well as the school psychologist and myself, a part of that is these are the people who are writing and reviewing these documents. So moving forward, they're not only learning throughout this process, but then they are understanding why some of these changes are taking place and a part of that change process and what those action steps look like moving forward. These are also the people then that have probably written these documents, so then they can see where their errors are and grow and change in that way too. So it is a huge undertaking. It does take a lot of hours to do, because even with 11 people on our committee and 25 documents, 48 pages to go through for each one of them, and then having to input it into the program and report it, and it does take some time. I think that it's worth it in the end. And it's something obviously we have to do, but I think even if it was a choice, I would still do it every 5 years just to make sure that we are doing the absolute best that we can. Yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you very
very
much, Beth. Well, we're making the transition. If I may, I'd like to introduce to the board Dr. Jill Sorby. Jill serves the Delavan-Darien School District and is here as part of some coursework to observe our board meeting this evening.
Sounds good. All right, committee reports, CNP, please.
Well, because I missed you guys so much, I wanted to make tonight's agenda last as long as possible. So I added several policies to the agenda. This is the first reading. We have here 33 different Neola policies. 14 are regarding school safety. And we have also, I think, 2 on the chopping block that we're cutting out. So we have reviewed these, we've approved them through the committee. I know Matt has also read through them. If you guys are having trouble sleeping or need some help, just feel free to pick up a policy and let me know your thoughts. Again, this is the first reading. We'll have a second reading next month. So if you have any changes, we do have time to submit those also. As usual, Tori and Kathy submitted their report. They're working on quite a few things. A couple things I'd like to mention. The music department attended a conference and are looking on some different standards in the classroom. I was glad to see that this happened because they've asked for, help with curriculum and different things. So I'm glad that we're trying to at least let them go to a conference and develop different curriculums that they can use online. Also wanted to mention that geography bees took place in all 3 schools this year, which I think is very good. I know the spelling bees are catching on as well. Book fairs are coming up in April, always a costly time for Tara. They also made this statement in the report I wanted to read. In response to our math scores in the middle school, again on the DPI state report card, we have been reviewing a variety of math resources for possible implementation in the middle school. Discovery Ed, Ready Math, Into Math, and Bridges. Kathy is also speaking to vendors about possibly piloting program at a reduced or free cost. So always looking to improve our scores, which is really good. And then lastly, I wanted to mention that we have purchased 10 sets of accounting books, online resources, and different things. I'm always amazed at the but the variety of classes that we offer here in our little school. And Samantha, going into 9th grade and that catches me every time. Picking out courses and going through the course catalog and different things, just a lot that we offer, and I'm very proud of our course selections and teachers and staff that make all that possible. So that's all I got.
Okay, thank you. PR.
All right, we met a little earlier tonight. Stephanie updated us, because it has been a while since everybody has met. The referendum mailer did go out a few weeks ago. Our district newsletter is now at the post office. About 4,300 were ordered, and roughly 4,100 are going to be mailed out. As we have in the past, everyone in our district should be receiving a copy of that in the next few days. Stephanie also updated us on a new program that is being offered to our community, the Walk the Halls. It was actually brought to the district's attention by Tammy Anderson, and it's been very well received. It's where people are allowed to come into the building and walk the halls in the evening from 3:30 to 7 p.m. Monday through Thursday to take advantage of nice warm conditions inside when it's so ugly outside. Over 30 community members have signed up. You do need to sign up in the high school office for that and receive an ID badge to be allowed in the building at night for that. So definitely encourage the community to have more sign up to do that and take advantage of this beautiful building. March is Youth Art Month, and Ms. Dauberstein has been doing a great job in helping get our students' artwork out to our local businesses and historical societies. And Steph and Ms. Dauberstein work together to help decorate, and they're doing a fantastic job, and we appreciate that very, very much. Another thing that Steph has done that is just out of this world, and with the help of Christine Grebs, is the extracurricular poster. If you guys have seen this poster, or you will be seeing it shortly, it is outstanding. It shows our student athletes and club members and the kids who are doing fantastic academically and everything, all the different fantastic things that our kids are able to participate in a single school year at the same time. Because our district, the size of our district, as the poster says, you can be part of it all. And that's true, and it's a wonderful thing that the kids can participate in multiple things throughout the school year. They don't get, knocked out of something because they're in something else. So I appreciate that very much, showcasing those things that we offer. Athletic records are still being moved forward and being worked on, and they'll start working on that after spring break again. And then we do have referendum listening sessions coming up this coming Monday and Tuesday, Monday the 18th at Eagle Elementary in the library from 6 to 7 p.m. Tuesday, March 19th, there is one at Palmyra Elementary in the library from 6 to 7 as well. And then during the day on Tuesday the 19th, Dr. Bloom will be at the Methodist Church in Eagle at their monthly luncheon to take part in that as well and to answer questions for the residents. If there's anything else that anyone can think of that we can attend, let us know. Otherwise, we are on the countdown to the vote, April 2nd. That is it for PR.
Thank you. Administrators report. Sharon, got anything today? Nothing tonight? Okay. The consent agenda. The consent agenda is handled as a singular motion and vote. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda? Any questions about any items on the consent agenda this evening? Hearing none. All those in favor of the consent agenda as presented, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Consent agenda is approved.
I'm sorry, I had one question. What is the T-shirt? Able, not the label? That's the T-shirt?
Yeah, it's Miss Rivers' students who, I think they're raising funds specifically for the transition program. Every year they do a T-shirt that is representative for students who receive special education services, and that is the shirt that they designed for this year. And I think order forms are, I can't remember if they were due or due shortly, and I know they're available now.
And they came up with that I mean,
As far as I know, yes.
is that like a nationwide? I mean, that's a fabulous.
So I know we'll be taking a picture in April sometime.
All right. On to action item A. Consider approval of resolution authorizing the defeasance of a portion of the Palmyra-Eagle Area School District's $3.965 million general obligation refunding bonds dated December 5th, 2011.
I'm not sure what defiance is, so I can't.
I'll make a motion.
All right. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Sharon, now you get to speak. What have we got in front of us tonight, please?
If you remember, way back when we were creating the budget last summer and fall, we wanted to prepay some of the debt, and we had some leftover funds that we could do that with, and so we are prepaying $400,000 worth. It gets paid at the end of our debt, but we saved $34,735 in interest this way.
Kind of hard to say no to $35,000 in interest savings.
And we couldn't pay
Any
it.
questions about this? Comments? Although, sorry, go ahead.
So when are you writing that check?
I think it's March 26th. It's not something that we can use on any other item. It's not money that we can use on the general budget or any other way. It's only for debt.
Were you inside my head?
A little.
It's a little freaky. Yeah, it's hot, smoke coming out.
All right. Any other questions? Hearing none. All those in favor of the approval of the resolution to authorize the defeasance of a portion of the 3.965 general obligation refunding bonds dated December 5th, 2011, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Action item B, consider approval of request for teacher extended leave through the end of the school year.
Move to approve of request for teacher extended leave through end of current school year.
Steve?
Thank you. We had previously had a teacher out under Family Medical Leave Act, gave birth to a child. There were some minor complications following the birth of the child. In collaboration with the administrators that were involved, we both agreed that the individual that we previously had in that position as a long-term sub would continue through the rest of the school year, so we would recommend that you approve this request. The teacher does intend to return next school year.
Questions from anyone? Comments? Okay. All those in favor of the request for teacher extended leave through the end of the current school year, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Action item C, subs 1 through 9, the approval of the first reading of the policies as listed as recommended by Neola.
Motion to approve first reading of policies listed, subsection 1 through 9.
Questions or comments about any of these? Thank you for the time spent by the C&P committee going through all these. And Matt?
If I could just interject.
Please.
You can tell as a board that this is one of the committees that during certain periods of time, there's an awful lot of work to be done. So kudos to Tara, to Carrie, and to Amy for their time. I know Tara loves reading these. I think she jokes about it. Actually, Tracy and I, this is one of the favorite things that we get to do, which is odd because our consultant thinks it's odd as well. But nonetheless, it's really important. And as you can see, this is almost a return to when we first developed a partnership with Neola when we're going through that process. There will be certain times during the year, typically twice during the year, when there are either new policies brought to your attention or revisions to existing policies. And in fact, had we waited another week or 10 days, we would have been able to bring to you revisions to the previously approved policies. So stay tuned. What we'll do for those revised revisions will be to explore those in C&P and bring those back to you on a second reading in April.
All right. All those in favor of the first reading of the revised policies as recommended by Neola, subs 1 through 9 as presented, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That carries. Action item D, consider approval of the first reading of the following new policies as recommended by Neola, subs 1 and 2, education for employment and threats of violence.
Motion to approve first reading of the following new policies as recommended by Neola.
Second.
Any questions about these two from anyone? Okay. All those in favor of the first reading of the new policies as presented, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That action item carries. Action item E, consider approval of the retirement of the following policies as recommended by Neola. Sub 1, non-renewal of administrative contracts. Sub 2, student discipline.
Motion to consider approval of retirement of the following policies, non-renewal of administrative contracts and student discipline.
What's the story on on both of them, Steve?
So the
Please.
first one, the non-renewal of administrative contracts, actually appears in a different Neola policy, so it was a duplication. For the student discipline, part and parcel of the new Wisconsin Act 143, the school safety, we've been talking about the grants in the past at Building and Grounds Committee meetings. This has been referred to now as Code of Conduct, so it's, again, a bit of a duplication. I think what they're attempting to do is eliminate that redundancy in policies and keeping content and verbiage to a single policy.
All right. Any questions? No? Good. All right. All those in favor of the retirement of policies PO 3143 and PO 5600, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Action item F, consider approval of early college credit program choices for fall 2019 as presented.
Move to approve of early college credit program choices for fall of 2019 as presented.
this one?
Yep.
Okay.
Second?
Second, okay. So, Steve, the early college credit are which students?
So early college credit would be those students that are listed at the top.
Okay, A, B, and C?
Correct, current
thank you.
students hoping to attend UW Whitewater.
Okay, thank you. All right. Anyone with questions with regard to this? You've got the new one in front. You're good? Amy, you're good? Okay, super. Then, all those in favor of approval of the Early College Credit Program choices for fall 2019 as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Action item G, consider approval of the Start College Now program choices for 2019 as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the Start College Now program choices for fall 2019 as presented.
Second?
Okay, thank you. No, that's right. All right. Questions on this one?
In this instance, these are current high school students that will be juniors next year or seniors next year that are applying to WCTC.
And then one at MATC?
And one
I'm
at
sorry,
MAT.
two at MATC.
Two at
right?
MATC.
Okay, got it.
Again, it's based upon availability, so you will see some of the students have multiple requests. It's not likely that they would complete a schedule that would include all of those classes, but it's kind of an assurance that they get at least one or two courses. Remember, in both instances, by policy and procedure, you cap credits at no more than 18 in either instance.
And as presented does refer to all the notes and spots on the page. So
Correct,
just so
and what we
everybody's
will,
square with that.
what we will make sure we do is that the copy that was handed out this evening is what's actually on record and on file.
Right. Everybody's comfortable with that?
I have one question.
Go ahead, please.
Would this include the student, I heard there was a student that was supposed to graduate in January, and then it was found that he was short credits. Is he included in this, or is this for next year?
This would be, so in the spring, they apply for the following fall. In the fall, they apply for the following spring. But we do this twice a year.
Yeah, I just heard that he was now going to WCTC other than the one class that he needed here.
Correct, and that is true. And he is also a half credit short doing, basically, for lack of a better term, an independent study here in English, because he had a half credit yet for high school graduation eligibility. But that student is attending a WCTC course. Thanks for checking.
All right, any other questions, any comments? All right, all those in favor of the approval of the Start College Now program choices for fall 2019 as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Action item H, consider changing April board meeting date.
Motion to approve, consider changing April board meeting date.
Second.
We have a conflict with Dr. Bloom on the 9th, correct? You're out of town? for a
That is
conference?
correct.
Okay.
You certainly are more than welcome to meet in my absence. Otherwise, if you'd prefer, we can look at possible dates. I was going to recommend Thursday, the 4th.
We can do the 4th, the 11th, or the 16th. I'm able, whatever everybody's got. Amy, you've probably got baseball firing up by then, don't you? 4th, 11th, or 16th? Piggyback it?
We could do so, or maybe even 5:30 to 6:40 and still have PR as a possibility, and that would save a trip. Yeah.
You're what? The 4th, I'm out of town. The 4th, Matt's out of town? Okay.
Yeah, the 11th is better for me.
That still presents a conflict as the
You're
9th
still
through
gone?
the 12th.
Oh,
I'm
you're
in
still gone on the 11th?
Madison,
Okay.
right.
16th? Added an extra week?
4th is better than the 16th.
What? Amy, where are you at? Okay. What's on this, any,
There's no concerts, there's a Trailways Self-Academic Banquet is the only thing I have on the district calendar.
okay,
Yeah, then that'll be off-site, so I don't think that's gonna affect anybody.
okay,
Yeah, that's that evening at the Lake Windsor Country Club. That Trailways Academic Banquet. And
I don't know. 16th? What?
it wouldn't be my preference, as I'll be attending the Trailways Academic Banquet.
Oh, well, I didn't know if you had to go or not. Okay.
My preference is the 4th, but, and part of that is the timing is close to April 2nd.
It's fine. All right. We go, all right. Matt gets the scale back, Matt gets a pass, all right. All right, 4th? Good? At 7? Yes, okay. All right.
Yes, and then I'll make an adjustment to C&P, since we're already scheduled to meet that evening, and you can have PR as necessary. Perfect, thank you.
April 4th.
All right, so with that, all those in favor of changing the April board meeting date to 7 PM Thursday, April 4th, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. And last action item this evening, consider approval of the 2019-2020 school year calendar.
Motion to approve 2019-2020 school calendar.
Second.
Any questions, comments about this one? Everybody's got it in front of them. Anything pressing?
No, we reviewed it in CMP and decided against adding 20 snow days, but we did consider it.
Yeah. Sounds good. Thanks for your consideration. All right.
We did consider merging the July 4th parade with the homecoming parade.
Yeah. Sounds all right. All right. All those in favor of the 1920 school year calendar as presented, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you, and I will basically create a Connect 5 message with the calendar to go out to folks. Typically, what people really want to know is when is the first day of the new school year and when is spring vacation, because a lot of people are going on spring vacation, and if they travel to the same place repeatedly, they book for the following year.
Right.
So that'll go out the end of this week.
Okay, thank you. You're up.
I could have left the microphone on, I guess. Thank you. I wanted to congratulate senior Michaela Pearden. She was recognized recently by the Fort Atkinson Eli Pierce chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution as our representative as good citizen. There was a luncheon last Thursday, March the 7th, which she was able to attend. I believe Stephanie's posted some photos of that on our district Facebook page. Thank you to our students and staff members for the recent productions of Shrek, the musical. I don't know if any of you were able to attend, and it really seemed to be a really good response. So thank you again. Kudos again to our students and staff. Tara had alluded to this in one of her earlier comments, and there's an awful lot of things going on in the district right now. Math 24, spelling bees, geography bees, interpretive reading, reading across America. A lot of really good things happening in our schools, and I would encourage folks to feel free certainly to visit and observe some of those activities in our buildings. I wanted to also thank both of the elementary parent organizations. They each had recently hosted a movie night in each of the schools. So thank you for their efforts in that regard. Both the boys and girls varsity basketball seasons have come to an end. Both were relatively successful. Congratulations to our student athletes and to their coaches. Again, this year the girls finished second in the Trailways South. Boys finished first in the Trailways South. Couple of playoff games. Also, as is not uncommon, when there's team success, typically there's also individual successes. We did have 7 of our student athletes, 3 male and 4 female, receive first, second, or honorable mention recognition in the Trailways Conference. High school wrestling has also recently wrapped up as a winter sport. Middle school wrestling seems to be going quite strong. We actually have 8 middle school students that are wrestling. So that program kind of rose from the ashes in a very short period of time. And as an aside, most of the wrestlers on the high school team are underclassmen. So there's a great possibility for strength in numbers moving forward there. I wanted to thank Joel. Also, this winter is not unlike what last spring was with all the poor weather and the cancellations and the postponements and the rescheduling. So Joel has certainly earned his stripes this year by having to reschedule a number of winter activities and events. Similarly, I wanted to thank Blaine at Lakeland Coach Lines. It's typically late into the evening and certainly very early in a morning in conversations, not only he and I, but folks that he talks with and colleagues of mine that I talk with in other school districts. And this winter has presented a bit of a unique challenge with our weather. I'm hoping that the last couple of days means that it's come to an end, and I also hope I didn't just jinx it by making that comment. But I wanted to thank Blaine for that. I think we both agree that safety first, number one. It's not only the buses. We do have staff that travel quite a distance. And don't forget, we have a significant number of juniors and seniors in high school that also drive. And for some of those kids, it may be their first winter experience. So I wanted to thank Blaine. Stephanie also had shared with us earlier that March is Youth Art Month, and there's a lot of really good things going on. I'm continued to be amazed at the talent that our students have. Just walk by the display case in the front of the building, and it's not my talent, that's for sure. So kudos, Mrs. Daberstein and Mrs. Zucknick for the work that they do with our kids. And last evening, a very successful band concert with also some guest vocalists as well. So a lot of good things going on. Sharon and I tomorrow will be attending the WASB Day at the Capitol. Really curious, I think, to get some insights into where the 2019-2021 state budget may be going. There'll be a couple of presenters there offering some insights, as well as the lobbyist from the School Board Association offering some commentary as well. As you know, some of this is being played out in the popular press and media, so stay tuned. It'll be interesting to see eventually what does happen. I did include in your packet relative to the WIAA statewide realignment of high school football beginning in the 2020 season. You'll see in that information the districts that will be aligned with. In some respects, many of them are the same competitors that we play against in a number of sports at the middle school level, such as Marshall and Waterloo and so forth. So take a look at that. It's not yet been finalized, but has gone through at least an initial okay by the WIAA Board of Control. We've also mentioned the referenda Q&A, but since we're in public meeting, just a reminder to anyone that might be interested, on Monday, March the 18th, at Eagle Elementary School in the library from 6 to 7 o'clock p.m. We'll have a couple of board members present to answer referenda-related questions. Following evening, Tuesday, March the 19th, at Palmyra Elementary School, also in the library, same time, 6 to 7 o'clock. Several board members again present. If community members would like to attend, or parents that are attending conferences have questions, feel free to stop in. And I think that exhausts what I have to say this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any announcements or board comments from anyone? No? All right. Upcoming meetings and events, we will be putting a schedule together with the new date change. Everything will be happening on Thursday, April 4th. They will be listed on the district website and posted appropriately. The board will now consider a motion to move to closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute Section 19.851C, to wit, to consider employment, compensation, and evaluation data regarding one or more employees over which the board exercises jurisdiction and responsibility, to wit, consideration of annual district administrator's performance review and evaluation.
Move to approve, motion to adjourn to closed session.
Good.
Pursuant to Wisconsin statute section 19.15851C.
Second.
And Tracy, can we have a roll call, please?
Justin Thomas. Carrie Ellis. Tara Bullman. Corey Jones.
Yes.
Matt Mecca. Amy Wild. Scott Hoff.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much.